All right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here, Nick Tank the Power. So I wanted to talk about the bodybuilding competition that I believe may be one of the worst bodybuilding competitions of all time, and that is the 1992 WBF Championships. Now, for those of you who haven't seen my last video that I made yesterday, giving the complete history of the WBF, I'll give you guys a little summary here of what the WBF is. So the WBF was an organization founded by Vince McMahon in the early 1990s. He was attempting to rival the IFBB because he thought that he could do a better job promoting bodybuilding than the Weider brothers could, because of his success with WWF and WWE. He thought he could do the same thing with bodybuilding, so that's what he was trying to do. And in 1991, he had the first WBF championship, which was not that bad. But in 1992, he would have the second WBF championship, which was a horrible, horrible mistake. And everything that could go wrong pretty much went wrong. So I'll get to that in a minute. So the WBF Championships in 1992 was held on June 13th, 1992 in Long Beach, California. And obviously, Gary Stridham won that again. So Gary Stridham won in 1991 at the inaugural WBF Championships, and again in 1992 at the second and final WBF Championship. So I believe Gary Stridham, who placed first, and Jimmy Quinn, who placed second, were really the only two bodybuilders that looked like, IFBB caliber bodybuilders. Everyone else looked like complete trash, and I'll get to that in a minute as well. So basically, the downfall of this competition was the fact that that Vince McMahon decided to drug test this competition. So the top six at this competition were Gary Stridham in first, Jim Quinn in second, Aaron Baker in third, Barry DeMay in fourth, and David Dirth in fifth. So this was a drug-tested competition, and David Dirth, who placed fifth, actually says that only 4 of the competitors were actually negative tests. Everyone else was positive for steroid use. And he believes the 4 that were negative were just oil-based, or just water-based versus oil-based steroids. Now, the other big issue with this competition was that everyone was out of shape because, basically they tried to cycle off their steroids at the last minute. And also the posing routines were pretty much terrible. So the photo you're looking at right here is from Mighty Mike Quinn's posing routine, where he had a skit with police officers where he bashed their heads in and they were chasing him around the stage, and it was just a goofy mess. And all the bodybuilders pretty much had a little skit before they went on, and they were kind of trying to give each bodybuilder a character. And Mike Quinn looked like absolute trash. I mean, his stomach was hanging over his posing trunks. He had visible body fat, like jiggling while he posed. He had, kind of bitch tits going on. His gyno was really bad. And like I said, there's just visible excess fat all over his stomach, visible love handles on stage. I mean, this is not what a pro bodybuilder is supposed to look like. Visible love handles jiggling on stage. From the back, I mean, just complete watery, no hamstrings to be seen, and visible fat on the stomach. And in addition to his little police officer routine, they had a video package where he was breaking out of jail to come compete. I mean, all the bodybuilders had these corny little routines. I think that's part of what killed the WBF, is the fact that Vince McMahon tried to make them have these weird little storylines, kind of like the pro wrestlers had, and it was just weird. Then at the end of Mike Quinn's routine, he had some women come out. Then he would have them rub all over him, and then he mimicked them giving him a blowjob. It was just the weirdest thing to see on stage. You guys can watch the full video. I'm going to put a link in the description below to the full WBF Championships from 1992, but it's over 2 hours long. So if you guys want to watch that, be my guest. But if you guys want to watch this video, this is going to be the shortened version of basically what went down. So yeah, Mike Quinn looked terrible. His conditioning was off, and that was the case for a lot of these guys. But I will say, Barry DeMay, David Dirth, Gary Stridham, Jim Quinn, Aaron Baker, those top 5 guys, those guys look good, man. So I think I will give them credit. But really, I believe that only Gary Stridham and Jimmy Quinn looked like they could go compete in the IFBB and do well. Everyone else, again, like I said, looked kind of out of shape. So another thing that's important to note is that Vince McMahon hired Dr. Mauro Di Pasquale to do the diets for the bodybuilders. And basically what he did was give them a ketogenic style diet, which was low carb, high fat, then reduce the amount of drugs that they were taking. So some people responded well to this, and some people didn't respond at all and had the opposite effect. And that was the case for Mike Quinn. It was a new diet for him, and he obviously didn't respond very well to it and came on stage looking fat. Another thing that I wanted to note was that Danny Padilla, who is a legendary classic bodybuilder, came and competed at this 1992 show at the age of 41. And unfortunately, I think this is the worst Danny Padilla we've ever seen on stage. I think he never should have done this show, never should have signed with the WBF, because I think it kind of ruined his legacy, because he did not look good at all at this show. Again, he had some visible belly fat, which is just embarrassing for a pro bodybuilder. But yeah, like I was saying, Vince McMahon hired a doctor to do the diets for all the bodybuilders. And some people responded well, some people didn't respond at all. And according to David Dirth again, Gary Stridham did not have to follow this diet. He was the only one that didn't have to follow it, because he was the year's champion prior to this 1992 show. And he also wasn't drug tested, and that's what is allegedly happened, that Gary Stridham was the only guy who actually wasn't drug tested, but that's just alleged. So this show overall was a total failure. It ended up being the last show of the WBF. It ended up being the complete downfall of the organization, which had the potential to be successful. And that's why I think this is the worst show in the history of bodybuilding, because Vince McMahon had all the money, he had all the promoting skills, he had all the talent, he had all the connections, he had all the television connections. He had everything in his arsenal that he could put towards promoting bodybuilding, and he still failed because of this 1992 show being so horrible. It was so horrible, in fact, that some major cities, like big cities, reported that they had less than 20 pay-per-views sold in their city for this pay-per-view. So that's how bad it was. So let me guys know what you guys think in the comment section below. Do you think this was the worst bodybuilding competition of all time? And if not, what was the worst bodybuilding competition of all time? Please give the video a thumbs up, and thank you for watching. Nick Strength and Power, signing out.